Hey, what's up, innies and outies, and welcome to a Nerdy Bunch weekly review of Apple TV series Severance. My name's Dave, and joining me because he has an unhealthy fascination with doors is my co-host Andrew. What's up, Andrew?
What's up, David?
Episode 2. Outie Mark contemplates the meaning of a message. Lumen grapples with the fallout of the overtime contingency. Dun dun dun. You didn't say dun dun dun.
I'm so sorry. It was very quiet. It was like a dum dum dum.
No. You
Dum
see,
dum
like,
dum.
how are people supposed to have like to listen to what we have to
Supersonic
say?
Dum dum dum.
There you go. Dramatic effect. You have to have oomph. Andrew, I don't think it's a spoiler to say last week's episode was all on the inside.
And in the innies.
This week's episode is all on the outside.
The outies, yeah. I mean,
spoiler free. What did you think?
Spoiler free. It's often hard to like create this show, but glued to my screen, right? Long story short, because I feel like looking back, we actually get a lot of information this episode about just the world and things, and some guesses, some correct, some wrong, mostly
Some
correct.
lies, some truths.
Some absolute lies. Definitely a great episode, just because I'm like extra excited to get to the third episode, because now it's like, now okay, we can proceed now that we all know what's happening.
What this episode kind of reiterates to me a couple of things. One, we get in the intro, which is great. We'll discuss that. Which ties into my second point. This show, at every opportunity, I think it takes the chance to kind of give us some incredible visuals.
Yeah.
Like, if you're a visual person, it's like you're just eating when you're watching the show.
Yep. Every scene of Mark, every scene of people walking. Oh.
The cinematography, the shot framing, like every shot is precisely done. And I just think it's beautiful. And I just love watching the show. You can watch moments when nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And it just looks great. I'm in, you know. And for me, that's a sign of a show where they just put meticulous detail.
Yeah.
Love that. All right, let's go fully into spoilers.
Yeah, but like still on that, just to transition from it, like I can't remember. My mind was, wow, I'm going deep. I don't know if people know Georgia O'Keeffe. I don't know if that's the right artist. I hope so. But like, it just reminded me of like some people who make very mundane but beautiful art. Because Mark he literally was just standing there in a room, but it was such a compelling shot, right? And the colors, like, and then the second one was Helly walking through the building.
Oh my God,
just
great
with
shot.
I don't know why I was waiting for a 007 to jump out, right? Like, it felt like a very cinematic shot. So yeah, I just had to call that out before I obviously forget.
No, this episode is full of shots like that, you know, with Milkshake and his motorbike just driving through.
And his magnificent helmet.
Right? I was like, ooh. It was interesting to see that side of Milkshake.
Yeah.
All right, I'm calling him Milkshake, I don't care.
100%.
We already established that. But it's like we've only seen him in one kind of setting, right?
Yeah. His office setting, which is not fair for anyone. Yeah.
Right.
He's just doing
the
a job.
look, the t-shirt. But now, again, we know little about him outside of the office, right? He's one of the few characters we don't really know about outside of the office. And I feel like this is like a nice teaser. It's like, oh, he likes to drive a motorcycle.
They're like, he's full of drip. That's all they said, basically.
Oh, he's got this, there's something about him. And I look forward to kind of delving deeper into who he is. Right? We've spoken about this before in terms of what are his motivations. But let's go back. Yes. This episode is full of Lumen damage control. Right. Last week's episode, they were like, oh, you guys were heroes. The world listened to you and blah, blah, blah. They made a whole video about how things are going to change featuring Keanu Reeves. That was all bullshit. Basically, Helena is like, oh, sorry, I got drunk off of some, I love she says, off of some non-lumen medication.
Like of course it happened. She said everything legally, not put them in trouble.
And she's one of my most interesting characters this episode, and I want to kind of explore her first, right? Because she's one of those where, and the actress does a fantastic job, where in yourself, I keep saying Hela.
You're gonna confuse me to Helly.
Haley, because it's Helena.
Like Hela and Thor, yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Helly's like one kind of persona, but you see Helena, she's very like tight and trying to prove herself and very much the company person or the family heritage. And she even says to Milkshake, let Kia guide you. So you even get a sense of that this whole religious aspect
Yeah.
is not a farce. It's not fake. They actually like
They they're drinking
believe in
that
this. They drink it,
Kool-Aid. They're
right?
knee deep.
It's not just Miss Cobell.
No, no, no.
But when she's watching that video and she sees the kiss and sees some of the relationship aspects, and then even interaction with her father, and then also having to kind of put the blame on her, what do you think is going through Helena's mind right now? Bearing in mind your theory of last week that she might be the one that's inside the office.
Yeah, because not my pick. She is. Wasn't a theory. It was just like, anyways, one, daddy issues. Because I mean, fetid moped. I mean, what, what, what even? Right? Like literally straight up in your face. Fetid moped storms out. Um, yeah, there's a lot, and you could feel a longing, right, when she was watching Helly Inni and Mark Inni. And I think you said it because you said in the event that, okay, fine, this is Helly Audi. What would she have done? Like watch the videos of their interactions? And yes, exactly, correct. That's precisely what she did, right? She's had this longing clearly, because I don't. It doesn't seem like there are many fun parties in this outside world. I want to know more about what's going on there. But that aside,
Mhm.
her life just feels like, yeah, you know what? With the situation on ground, and Helen said is kissing. She's like, I don't mind kissing, maybe. She decides to go underground and go undercover. And I just want to see how long this is going to be stretched out. Because again, that's definitely her, right? But whether they said it or not, I think even when she was going down the elevator, there was like she didn't get a noise, even though most people do usually on the switch. Like one thing about this show that it's I've missed shows that make me like private eye detective, like magnifying glass. Like, what is that? Why is that book corner flipped?
How much time did you spend on the intro credits? Because you know they're telling you
And
something.
everyone quantify, yeah, because we're like, oh, different color, and then we started going back. I can't remember how many times I rewound in the episode. It probably got annoying, right? Like taking notes, drawing
Interesting.
charts, like
Staying with Helena, I think there's something interesting about her because also I try to ask myself, like, how does she feel about all of what Lumina's doing? Because
yeah,
yes, she's drank the Kool-Aid, but she's still curious about the other side, so to speak. She's not fully, right? There's a thread she wants to be like, ooh, what's that?
yeah,
It's enough that's going you can see the future of this season, her narrative that just slowly unraveling,
yeah,
and her kind of the veil that's put over her face kind of
yeah,
being taken away.
yeah.
And do you think that's kind of always been there? Because I get the sense that her father doesn't necessarily think that this is my daughter and I'm so proud of her type thing. It's more like, ah, shit, I got to prove to him because he expects me to fail. Like, what do you
Yeah.
think of that, of her in that kind of context?
Fetid moped. Sorry, I just had to say it again. Like you can tell. I think that scene was just great for me in showing a character because it said so much, like you're saying, without saying anything at all, right? It said, of course you did. I'm ashamed of you, and of course you let me down. And I feel like she drinks the Kool-Aid up onto the point where she just wants to impress her father. I mean, I'm purely obviously guessing and speculating, but I feel like it's not like she also believes in severance, right? It's just like, this is what my family do. Very similar to how we've all seen the Penguin by now, right? Like, so Sophia with her family, like, I'm not saying this is what I would have chosen as an occupation, but if this happens to be what my family is doing, I mean, what other choice do I have, right? It kind of feels like she's just trying to do her best where she is. Um, so yeah, it's definitely going to be many things. I feel like it's partly she knows that going in she can control the narrative for whatever they need Mark for, right? That's clearly her plan. Just keep him happy till Cold Harbor, and they'll probably dip. Um, and like why not? I feel like it's just going to be so interesting.
And it's interesting, her watching those videos, and even if the theory is correct, her decision to kind of go down herself.
Mhm.
She may tell herself she's doing it for reconnaissance reasons to find out certain
But
truths,
it's BS.
but because it's almost like she's realizing, I think, through looking at Helly's life in there and just Helly's nature, because I feel like she almost suppresses a lot,
Yeah.
right? Where Helly's just like, this is bullshit. Helly will be out,
Yeah.
just say it out there. And it's almost like she realizes, wait, who's living better?
Yeah.
You know,
Right. Right.
he's like, wait, she realizes, oh shit, maybe I'm the one in the prison,
Yeah. Like actually, that looks kind of fun.
and she's freer than me. You
That's
know,
interesting though.
and I kind of want to experience some of that freedom to kind of
Especially because she can actually have the control. And guess what, guys? Guess what? That's what a regular work life balance looks like. There was no need for severance ever. It's nice to sometimes, leave one problem in one place and
right.
just go to another place.
And this speaks to like your personality types, right? Where it's like if we look at the seven still being a part of you,
Yeah.
that's almost a side of you that you don't allow yourself to be.
Yeah.
But the seventh version doesn't have those limitations, so it gets to be that version of you that you've suppressed for various reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like seeing that. Let's talk about her conversation with Miss Cobell.
Mm-hmm.
What I love this conversation is that it's not what they're saying; it's what they're not saying.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is a perfect example of like subtext and storytelling. Where it's like, we want you back. You do want an
Yeah.
apology.
Yeah.
I apologize.
The board apologizes. We all
So
apologize. I
yeah,
am
we
sorry.
apologize to you. How did you feel about that scene between the two? Like the tension build up, which is supposed to be a friendly conversation,
Yeah.
but it's basically like, we're getting rid of you, but we can't get rid of you. And I know you fear me and you can't get
Yeah.
rid of me. So
Yeah.
what's up?
So we're just gonna try and park you in a department, right? Now Mrs. Cabell, such a great actress. She really gives me vibes. I say it to my wife all the time that like I feel like she was one of the witches Agatha met,
Oh,
and
yes, yes.
she just has that vibe and energy, right? Like seething with malice, almost. But that was a great conversation on both sides. And like you said, I love her saying to Helly, Audi, you fear me, and she's like, we fear no one, and I'm like, yeah, I don't believe you. I'm like, sorry, calling your bluff. You definitely fear her, and that's why I'm so intrigued. Like, How did this end for her? Where is she
Hmm.
going?
Where did
Is
she go?
like, are they one thing that confuses me about the board, especially now that we've seen Helly and this her bodyguard,
Drummond.
Drummond, is
Oh,
that
sorry. I liked I like when um Cobell asked for an apology and he's like, oh,
yep.
oh.
Like, oh shit! I can't hear anything.
Uh,
Don't mind me. I wouldn't take that. That's all I'm saying. You do you though. But no, what is the staff count of the board? I've had suspicions, but like this isn't it, right? Like
no, there's definitely more.
there's more people in the back, right? I'm just it's like I feel like we did so. Oh, where I started to wonder was even when Milkshake was speeding off to Mark's place, which I knew he would do himself, but like I've just never seen them, like really interact with many people outside, except for
Mhm.
who they've shown us inside. But then again, the way they pull in people from other locations, like these people from
5X
5X, yeah, which
question
question
mark.
mark 5X, like 5X, and laid off right from 5X if I'm not mistaken. So that's like double double. So I guess they probably have a high staff strength. So that aside, but anyways, it was funny to see the the board just being Ellie and the bodyguard in the corner, at least for the purposes of this conversation. And so I
Mhm.
just started to just wonder that, yeah, what is the extent to the power of this board?
Well, actually, it's interesting you say that now, and I'm just thinking out in real time as you say it. If we believe, okay, obviously we can't believe everything the Keanu Reeves building video told us because we know there's a lot of lies there. But
Mm,
we believe that at least there's multiple headquarters around the world. Which,
correct,
by the way, the number of countries they said there are is more countries than we have in real life. But
correct.
that's
They lie
another
about
thing.
everything, man.
um, what if this kind of building and this kind of a floor is under Helena's kind of jurisdiction. And this kind of, if you get this, if you do this right, the family will be proud of you type
Mm-hmm.
thing. That's why, so the board of this specific building, that's why we see that, her father gave her this building to kind of prove herself, her worth.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And if you can get Cold Harbor fixed, maybe nobody could figure out Cold Harbor. She's like, I can
then
do
you
it.
get the New York branch.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get to upgrade to the New York and DC ones, which are
Exactly.
probably popping.
Right. Which is probably an incentive because again, she's one of the few that we know of the at least the management and above who
Mhm.
actually have been severed because as far as
Yeah.
we know, Miss Cobell and
The
milkshake
milkshake or
don't
not.
seem to be severed, right?
Yeah.
So it just seems to be like the regular level employees.
I wonder why that's allowed. I guess it's fair. They still do the whole outside inside, which
Mhm.
is interesting. And Lumen is a terrible, semi not terrible, terrible company, right? It's like they're doing just enough, but like they're still terrible.
Let's talk about before we go to Mark. Let's talk about the firing, right?
Hmm.
Part of Milkshake's job is cleaning up the mess from his predecessor, and he
Yeah.
has to go and do the firing. Uh, what I'd like seeing is the results of said firing, right?
Mm.
Um,
To
uh, uh,
Dylan and Irving,
Irving makes a phone call to who?
Batman.
And he's being watched
By Bert
by Bert. What? What's going on there? Interesting. And that, I feel like that we can kind of theorize there, but I don't think we have much uh,
to go off of.
to go off of,
Yeah.
right? But Dylan, he's another person who's, at least from what we've seen, his personality is wildly different from its side, right?
Yeah.
Ironically, the inside, and I think this is just something we're seeing more and more, right? Almost like a Healy, the inside version, Healy, is he Healy? Helly.
Ellie.
uh, 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 just same like Helly, where the inside personality is very short. Well, I think even him more so. He's very sure of himself, right? Even with the small life that he has, he's very
Oh,
like
wow.
sure of himself. He's very confident, and the outside version seems very different. And
Correct.
after getting fired, we're reminded that don't forget he has a wife and kid, and
Yeah.
he is the support system. He has to find a job. What did you think of the sequence where he kind of met his parallel double at a?
In a great shot. Another great shot with the doors moving and both of them side by side silhouette. Yeah,
I feel
it's
it's a
like
low
you
key
remind me of me.
is a Monsters Inc. kind of thing.
Yeah, right. That's a good one actually.
I find
Um,
it interesting. And
uh,
it doesn't matter for the story, but like,
yeah,
do you think Dylan just knew a lot about doors or did a shit ton of research before the interview?
that's a good and interesting question, right?
Because that's just enough info. Like,
That,
how do you know that?
yeah, because that was a lot. Like pocket door, he was making guesses. He was like semi gloss. Like I feel like both, man. He needs a little bit of info, but maybe it's actually because you're right. Even on the inside, he's an A1 worker, so he could be one of those who, yeah, give me 24 hours, I'll learn everything there is
Yeah.
to know about doors.
I can even have a
And he does
casual
that,
conversation.
so
Then when
that'd
it's
be
like a door
interesting.
prize, the guy was like, oh,
Good. Yeah, wait, sorry, I missed it. No, wait, what was the issue there? I was still laughing too. Like, no, I was like, wait, why are we mad?
can I tell you? I thought the same. I was like, that's a funny joke. I didn't
I'm
know.
like,
Like, I thought you would laugh too.
okay, my bad. Sorry. Yeah, really yikes.
Ooh,
Uh,
okay, shit. Whoa.
great scenes.
But then that I think as funny as all that was, it does a great job of kind of disarming us with that in the same way that Dylan's disarmed, right? We're like, oh, he's got the job, he's great.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
you're
got the joke.
severed. Who?
You're severed? Oh
Oh,
no, that's he's like, I'm so sorry. That's low on the list. I'm being black. I'm sorry. Sorry. I'm so sorry.
you're severed. I
That's
don't
worse than anything else. Like,
be hiring one person, not two.
no, what was the line he said? Yeah, we need a certain kind of person, not a certain kind of two people. Like,
I was like,
excuse
damn.
me?
And again, it continues to kind of I love these moments, right? Because we spend so much time on the inside with the severed characters and we get so attached to them. We kind of forget what the world kind of
Yeah.
sees being severed
Yeah,
because it's not a secret, right?
it's not, which I
And it's
like.
which is great. It's great that it's not a secret and it's a choice. And if you make that choice to be severed, you're kind of looked down upon,
Which is weird, but I hear it, right? It's again, people love a reason to discriminate.
right?
Ask the mutants and X-Men, but it's one of those where it's like, yeah, it just seems like you literally are two people. Like,
But the question is,
yeah,
I'm curious again because I'm sure this is the in-universe debate where it's like I would love to see from the perspective of that employee, right, or employee from the employer. What is it that you fear? And that I don't understand. Like in terms of people that hate this outside of the moral side, right? I understand the moral
yeah,
implications. Like even, and we'll get to it with Mark's sister. I feel like
yeah,
that's more of a moral kind of
moral,
thing.
yeah.
But I feel like, but there's no fear
I
from
mean,
that,
for me, it's the fact that like you right now, you could just switch and be like, oh, sorry, man. my other self borrowed me. Like,
And maybe
excuse
that's
me.
maybe things have happened, right?
Yeah,
That kind of people that kind of feel like, what if that can happen again?
yeah.
Maybe and
Like the
again,
thing that just happened, the escape they did. Like if that happened mid, I don't know, a pilot flying a plane,
mhm, mhm.
and all of a sudden you're like, oh my gosh, where am I? Yeah, no.
And that's I'm curious into if this season of the show kind of explore that for us to kind of understand the fears that people have, even if it's irrational, right?
Yeah,
Still kind of understand the root of what these fears are to the point where I can't hire you
yeah. I
because
hope
it's
there's
going to
a
be a problem,
story. I hope
right?
something happened. I hope it's like, don't you know? Oh no,
Exactly.
the big severed employee incident.
He severed and like the other personality was like a serial killer or something like
Yeah,
that. That
that
was
was my
suppressed.
first thought. Also, I was like, yeah, obviously he came in and was like, wait, I have what 20 minutes. Yeah, I'm just gonna murk people.
Right, right, exactly. So I'm interested. It's not necessarily a plot hole. It's just more like I'm curious to see
Curious. Yep.
or where that kind of narrative goes. And let's kind of
Agreed.
segue into that with Mark trying to grapple with the truth. Right, this episode continues like last week's episode from the season finale of season one,
Yep.
where the last thing was like she's alive, and he comes back from his like everyone's looking at him, and he's like, what happened? Because his confusion again. They
Yeah.
do a great job this episode, especially when he's going in and out of work to just show the instantaneous nature of
Yep.
his perspective of things, which is always great to kind of see.
Yeah.
His sister Devon, right? She's had time to kind of she had time to sit and talk with any Mark. She had a
Yeah.
conversation. So she'd already had this kind of sense of I don't trust this company. That's the way she's
Yeah.
coming from the beginning.
100%.
All right. So to have this conversation with him and what he says, and then she's kind of having second thoughts about, maybe Gemma is alive. Why do you think she's pushing it, even though Mark says, I saw her body?
I I've recently been watching Shrinking for whoever watches or doesn't watch out here. No
Okay.
spoiler, dead wife, and there's just a lot of some parallels there
Yeah.
because it's the trauma and grief that can't let that can't let him inquire in such a truth. Because there was something about him, what like even being haunted by her shadow, or like I can't remember the exact line, but point is that it's taken him a while to even I feel like come to terms with this, which he hasn't because he severed himself to deal with
Mhm.
it. Side note. So I feel like I see it more from a standpoint of like, listen, I've already healed. I don't want to go back to that place. Right? It sounds too crazy. I mean, I don't want in my culture, you never say, "Oh, you imagine it." You say, "Let your enemy imagine that your enemy, his wife died, and your enemy has to then live with that." Right? Just imagine how your enemy would feel. And in that same standpoint, it's just like if my enemy felt that they had verified by themselves that their wife died, it's gonna be hard for somebody to come and tell you, "Oh, bro, that was." I mean, is this mission impossible? It's not. But I feel like yeah, just the fact that she keeps pushing and the whole encounter with Mrs. Cobell,
Yeah.
right, with her screaming at him and driving off, and I. I feel like there's no way he doesn't get curious and pull the thread with his sister, right? Like he kind of has to. Um,
I see her, I don't know how, but I see her being this kind of middle ground between both Innie and Outie Mark.
mm-hmm.
I see her building a relationship with both versions.
Yeah,
And
which I'm
she's had,
very happy we have though.
yes, yes.
Yeah,
And I like her kind of asking these questions and trying to understand, like, no, you didn't say she's alive because of the baby.
yeah, because the baby's life was never in question, right? So don't even
I
don't
mean, I can assume why you'd think because it seemed like Miss
yeah
Cobell kidnapped it, the baby,
yeah
but we'd had the baby back
yeah.
at this point when he shouted it out.
And
Right.
why would you be holding the picture?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. At least, and she even says there's a phrase she said, "Let's Occam razor this shit."
Oh, that was
Occam's
a great
razor is
yeah
a great line, and for those who
yeah.
don't know, it's essentially the most logical, simplest explanation. It's
It's
probably
usually
the
the
truth.
one. Usually it. That's
Like let's look, and
usually
when she tries to break down, okay, what happened?
yeah.
This he said. Any Mark came out. He said this. This happened. This happened. This happened. Hey, let's just ask the question of could something be up with Gemma? Let's just ask.
Simple.
Let's just ask the
Simple
question.
deduction. No, I'm going to like Devon's the
Mhm,
sister because I like that. Yeah, I like that both Marks have somebody that has their shared truth,
mhm,
other than because that's what Mrs. Cobell was, right? She had visibility on in out Mark as she planned her throuple attempts for milkshakes accusations. Um, but now we have a family member, thankfully, and a sister who, even if it's just that slice of info, has now been able to see, both sides. So I really feel like she's going to have an important part to play this season.
It's interesting because I think also her husband Rickon
I was going to
and the
mention him.
baby, I
It's
feel
like
like
you love my book. What did he say?
yeah. And but even Mark is just like if he was dead and burnt alive or whatever, like what?
It's
I
like,
mean, like, I was like, damn.
what an example, sir.
Like, have you been thinking about this? Like,
If I was a sister, I'd be like, you mean my enemy's husband? You see, not you have to be careful here.
but yeah, I feel like I don't know. I don't think Rickon and the baby are just background characters. I feel something's going to happen.
Yeah.
What if Rickon is a severed bad guy? I don't know. I'm just making shit up. That's part of the
Dum, dum,
crazy
dum.
theories out there.
That's why I love the
Uh,
show. You can kind of theorize almost anything because we're in
well,
open waters here, y'all.
right. The team gets back together, but not before. Again, because a lot of this episode is paralleling last
What
week's
happened
episode.
last week, which was
Right, we
great.
see, like you mentioned, how we meet the other team and why, because they brought the other team. It was just temporary because, and I liked when Helena says we don't need chemistry, we need
I mean, Mark.
more back to work. We need him back to work enough to complete Cold Harbor.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, actually, maybe he does need chemistry. They realize that they have to bring back his team. And I
Mm-hmm.
love the shot. If someone made it side by side, the shot when he sees the team come out of the elevator, last week's episode, lines up perfectly with them walking into the elevator. This
Ooh,
week's
really?
episode, like perfectly lines up.
Yeah.
Like, and you can tell again, example of they've done a very good job of focusing on the details. Now the team's back together again. But the question is, where does it go forward from here? Where did
Period.
Mrs. Selvig go to? Who did Bert call? What does Helena want? Is she the one that's on the inside right now? And also, does
Yes.
Lumen actually do? Like, what does Lumen actually do? Like, you had to work for Lumen, you have to be a Seven employee. They don't do Seven. That's just part of working for them.
Yeah.
What does Lumen do? It's a question.
I don't even know how to guess. Like
Here's the thing
it's
for me.
grounded in reality though, not
I,
aliens.
I, I think, well, reality very loosely, because in my sci-fi brain, this is crazy guess of the week. In my sci-fi brain, Lumen is that kind, like it's always, when you have big companies like this, be it the company from Alien or be it all these major companies in um what's that show,
Like
Stacked.
Resident Evil or Underworld. I don't know.
There's all, it's not the same thing.
Yeah.
Comes down to uh um Altered Carbon is what I was looking for.
Ah,
At the end of the
good
day,
show. Hmm.
they are trying to either
For resources,
no create
control.
immortality.
Ah,
It's always immortality.
yeah.
Like it's always comes down to how can we keep
Yeah.
living forever?
Yeah.
Either cure everything or just live forever. It always comes down to some
Yeah.
form of immortality.
Yeah.
And I think
It's
that's what Lumen's trying to do.
it
It's
would
kind of
make
thinking
sense. I feel like I guessed or somebody guessed at a previous episode of just like the original founder wants his brain to live on forever.
exactly,
Similar to
exactly,
Foundation, Apple TV. Whoever doesn't watch that, do so. Kind of similar.
again.
It's like,
Yeah,
listen,
yeah.
even if my body will be gone, my brain will live on
Yeah, exactly,
forever. Even if I
exactly.
have to create a whole new space where my brain exists alone with others.
And that's what I'm saying. It's like it's some form of immortality because the question is, when the way technology works, right? Technology doesn't exist in a vacuum.
Yeah,
If they could do this, what else can it do?
yeah,
Right? Not just the applications of it, but what else can it do? So in order to do this separate procedure, it means you have this very intimate knowledge of how the brain works.
yeah,
So what else can you do? Right? Is it just splitting personalities? But can you
yeah,
input things? Can you take
yeah,
out things? Can you switch things? Yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
Like we saw, because you can then do a reverse swap, right? Similar to I'm just dropping shows by the way, but similar to Dune, no spoilers here. You could just be
Yeah,
exchanging
that's
personalities.
exactly,
Right,
exactly.
just that there's a lot happening, and I feel like because then the question then to take your theory deeper is, and specifically, what are they doing with macro data? Like, what are they cleansing specifically? Are they like keeping oxygen tanks running for the people above? I keep hearing things about water on the internet. I don't really know what to think of that.
Why do they need Mark specifically for
Why?
Cold Harbor? Obviously, somehow it's related to Gemma. Is it something to do with the fact that they were close with each other? Like, does it have to be that they were married and they were close and they needed someone that's close to, to him? That's why he's special. Like, is he
Yeah.
special because he's special, or is he special because of his connections to her?
Right. Or
Right.
or he just like he really works well under pressure. Like, what is it? What like what are we talking here?
And yeah, and to what extent is Lumen, you know, going to cover everything up? How deep does this go from their perspective?
That's what I keep wondering, man. Like, is it like, okay, they control all? I know they control a lot of media outlets, right? Like, they're meant to be super strong.
Mhm.
Like the company in the boys, which name I can't remember for some reason. Um,
Oh, Voight.
yes, I can't
Vo-
even say. I'm about to say Vox Machina, but yeah, B. All right, yeah, I'm gonna let that one
Vought.
go.
Vought. Yes, Vought.
But it is
Yeah,
VOT, yeah,
yeah,
VOT. It's
Vought
just yeah,
Industries.
I was thinking about yeah, exactly. Like, what is the how strong is their hand on the public? Because I feel like the amount of things to cover up are like slowly increasing. And the woman that always stays kind of just in the back of my mind is the lady who killed the ex security guard and helped Mark's first friend get
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
reintegrated.
She kind of
That
broke it.
lady,
She used to work for them.
yeah, just like okay, you know when you're just kind of in everything I'm watching, I'm kind of just waiting for her to just show up. So it's one of those where it's just like what, yeah. I haven't seen many shows recently that don't allow me to kind of guess within a realm of like possibility. Here, it's
Mhm,
kind of just like I'm gonna let y'all do what you want to do because there are way too many theories if I was to go down that rabbit hole. But
mhm,
it definitely has something to do, like you said, with life, extending life, or preventing life from feeling like it's dying.
mhm.
That's yeah, it's always a selfish thing usually with humans.
Anything else we haven't mentioned that stood out to you? Any moments that you liked?
Um, Just again, I don't know why. Shout out Irving. We've seen very little, but I don't know. I feel like I don't. I don't. I just have a bad feeling about things with him because I don't want. I don't want to forget that he was drawing those black
Mhm,
paintings, which is tied with Mark's wife. And it's like, why was it? That's a very traumatic thing to be drawing
mhm,
something on repeat. So, yeah, the ominous nature of things with him and Bert watching him.
mhm.
That was just. I'm just keeping an eye on that situation. Just note it down.
I love the moment when Milkshake had visited Mark and then mentioned what happened,
Mhm.
and in terms of the innies taking over the bodies on the outside.
Yeah.
And then Mark was like, "What? I didn't know anything about that." And he was like, "OTC disclosure can be found in your starter kits.
Like,
Like,
it's like
read the
of course
fine print,
of course they covered it. Did you
right?
read the terms and conditions? No,
Read the
no,
fine
no, not
print."
did you scroll? Did you read? Oh
And
yeah,
the way it's
it's
said is like just like a quick
and
throwaway, like, "Excuse you, it's there.
I,
Move on."
and I feel like what's even funnier is the like 40% chance that's a bluff, right? Because it's one of those where like
Right, right,
you
exactly.
know no one really read it and like yeah it's not gonna go confirm. So like even in that moment, because literally even they said 5 months and it's been 2 days, right?
Right.
If I'm not mistaken, like they're making me doubt every single thing
Everything said,
that they say. Like literally, I assume that they align with their words. So
even with that.
it might not even be in there.
And even that same conversation when he's trying to convince Mark to come back to work, right? He sets it up with like, "Oh, your Innie was a hero. He did a great
Yeah.
job." Everything, and then he's like, "I'd hate to reward his courage with non-existence." Like,
Yeah.
oh shit!
Like, wait, is that a threat to kill him?
Like, what? What? Talk
No.
about what's it called? Trying to make you feel guilty,
Hmm.
to go back to work. And
And even you know,
I was gonna say, even though they guilted him going back to work, just like Miss Cobell said, it wasn't just they didn't just use guilt; they used
yeah,
pineapple.
yeah, they actually did. Like them and pineapples and their
He's like,
little treats.
"Let me guess, a pineapple involved? You're so easy."
And it's like, yeah, kind of
Like the
actually.
disappointment in her face that he took it.
Mm,
She was
mm.
like, ugh.
Uh-huh.
You just can't
She's
believe
such a
that
good
worked
actress.
on you. The same, they use the same old thing and it still works. Gosh.
It's like a free pizza party, and you're like, yep,
And
you
you're
found my
excited.
weakness.
That was enough.
I was gonna say there was a phrase Milkshake used that I had to write down, which was that the solace you have given him down there will make its way up to you.
Mm.
It was like, is that gaslighting, or like, I don't know what are you saying to me?
Yeah.
It's
That,
probably not wrong,
I mean,
but
that's where the
like,
cult nature of it comes.
yeah,
All right. And it's like your enemy is happy. You know, they always say like your enemies are happy, they're good, they're happy. And knowing that they're happy will make you
should
happy
make you
because you're the
happy.
same.
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Because they
Be
come out
happy
of
knowing
work.
that you're happy.
Me and your enemy are great friends.
Actually hate each other. But
I
yeah,
think that's it.
that was
That's
it
all
for
I have.
me.
Yeah. No. What do you nerdies think of episode 2? What are your thoughts this season? What are your assumptions for what's
Mhm.
going to happen next? Where is Miss Selvig going? Who was
Oh,
Irving talking to? How far down the rabbit hole does this all go? Find us on
dum, dum,
social media. Give us your suggestions at The Nerdy Bunch. You can also find us an email, the Nerdy Bunch
dum.
podcast at gmail.com. Check out some of our
Yes.
other podcasts. We finished full June season 1. We finished
Prophecy
Creature Commander season 1, Silo
done.
season 1,
Yep.
and we have a whole bunch of
Actually, Silo season 2, but I hear
season
you.
2. Yes.
Skeleton Crew season 1.
Yeah, Skeleton Crew season 1 as well. And upcoming, we have Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man,
Spider-Man.
which we're checking out, and a couple of movies. So keep it locked on the Nerdy Bunch to find out what we will be reviewing.
And Captain America is in like 3 weeks, yo.
It is in 3 weeks.
Or a little bit less. It's been a while since I've been in Marvel season, and please, I just don't want Anthony Hopkins to receive stress. Can it just be good? Can I just say that and
Anthony
put it
Mack
out
and
there?
Anthony Hopkins.
Yeah,
It's gonna be so bad. Anthony Hopkins will get shit.
that, that's my
There'll be,
exact point.
there'll be a revolt against anyone named Anthony
Any Anthony. All because of
if it's
Anthony
bad.
Mackie. Oh my gosh. But yes, please, Anthony Mackie. I just don't need stress. I'm already stressed enough. So
I'm revisiting
pray for them.
Falcon the Winter Soldier. Just gotta prep for it. Get excited. So I hope you're good.
That
But
show was semi-slept on in hindsight compared to
yes,
some of the other shows that came
yes.
out.
Well, I think again, not to get into, I think that's one of those shows that I think works better as a binge as opposed to week by week.
Yeah,
Altogether,
fair.
it feels a lot better.
Yeah.
But keep it locked on the keep it locked on the Nerdy Bunch to find out our thoughts on that movie when it does come out, because we will be reviewing it. Thank you, Andrew.
Thank you, David.
My name is English Dave, and this has been a Nerdy Bunch review for Severance Season 2, Episode 2. And as always, Andrew,
Keep it nerdy.
peace.